My name is Brey Williams, and this is a literacy play called The Doll's House, written by Henrik Ibsen. Henrik Ibsen, considered by many to be the father of modern post-drama, was born in Skien, Norway in 1828. He was the second of 6 children. Ibsen's father was a prominent merchant, but he went bankrupt when Ibsen was 8 years old, so Ibsen spent much of his early life living in poverty. From 1851 to 1864, he worked in theaters in Bergen and in what is now also then called Christiania. I'm not sure how to say that. At age 21, Ibsen wrote his first play, a 5-act tragedy called Cataline. Like much of his early work, Cataline was written act tragedy in verse. At one time, his plays were considered controversial. If not the well-written scripts, his plays would not have survived over the last century. In A Doll's House, Ibsen paints a bleak picture of the sacrificial role held by women of all classes in his society. In general, the play's female characters exemplify Nora's assertion that even though men refuse to sacrifice their integrity, hundreds and thousands of women have. In order to support her mother and 2 brothers, Miss Lindy found it necessary to let go of Krogstad, her true that had no money, love and marry a richer man. The nanny had to abandon her own child to support herself by working as Nora's caretaker. As she tells Nora, the nanny considers herself lucky to have found the job, since she was a poor girl who had been led astray. The play is basically centered around the women of that time and gave up much for little in return. They were told what to do and what not to do, and unselfishly accepted that was their role in life. Life is based on in the 1800s. Nora is a pretty childlike woman who tries to please her husband but breaks the rules sometimes, but sacrifices herself in many ways to support him. In the play, the setting is in Nora and her husband's living room. At Christmas time in the mid-1800s, she had been on a shopping spree. When Torad, her husband, leaves for his study, her friend Christine is speaking with her about how bad her marriage she had just been through. Good gracious, can't you understand? There was no old gentleman at all. It was only something that I used to sit here and imagine when I couldn't think of any way of procuring money. But it's all the same now. The tiresome old person can stay where he is, as far as I am concerned. I don't care about him or his will either. I am free from care now. My goodness, it's delightful to think of, Christine. Free from care, to be able to be free from care, quite free from care. To be able to play and romp with all the children. To be able to keep my house beautifully and everything just as Torvald likes it. And think of it, soon the spring will come and the big blue sky. Perhaps we shall all be able to take a little trip. Perhaps we shall see the sea. Perhaps I shall see the sea again. It's a wonderful thing to be alive and happy. Nora tries to convince herself that not having to worry anymore is the way to go. Even though she has money of her own, her life is still dictated to the role of her partner as the boss. She even abandons her children for him, even though she loves them dearly. When she takes out a loan to help her husband, she could get into trouble because it was not legal for women to do unless her husband signs for it, which leads to blackmail in the play.